a little bit about him before he comes into the studio. So I go Google Elliot Page. And they're like, oh shit.
Oh, damn.
Elliot Page. Oh, she was in the movie Inception.
Yes. Yeah,
One of my favorite movies.
she was awesome. Oh, yeah, great
really
movie.
good.
Great movie.
And now she's a guy.
Yeah.
She's a dude. And I'm like, what's going on here? So I had to really search all the way to the bottom. I was like, oh, that's the Elliot Page I'm looking for.
Okay, yeah, fair. It was a little tongue in cheek. The way I put it was, and yeah, there were some left wing media here in New Zealand who kept on asking me about it, and I guess I was just being a bit, and I just kept on saying, my page, Elliot Page.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
The other one would be more the real Elliot Ikilei, and
I like that.
I was being a little bit, I'll be honest, I was being a little bit tongue in cheek, a little bit satirical.
Yeah.
And, I am Elliot. That is Ellen. She can say she's Elliot Page. She can change her name and all that sort of stuff. But I just wanted to sort of give a tongue in cheek look at the absurdity of it all.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. I love that. I mean, satire is it's a good way to live your life, It's like, can't take yourself too seriously.
Humor is required in all parts of life, and most of my work, or most of my career, has been involved with at-risk families and at-risk youth. You need to have a humor, and our humor gets pretty black.
Yeah.
Pretty black. We don't really come out with it much, but when we're having beers together and we're getting smashed together, the black humor comes out. But it's a requirement. Otherwise you're going to end up offing yourself.
What sort of humor are we talking about? Black humor. What sort of jokes do you throw around?
Oh gosh. Humor that would make you think that we don't like those who we serve.
Right.
Yeah. It's one of those families. It's a family, and it's a very. I would not speak on the jokes that we make because it's catharsism that we're talking about, however that might look.
Right.
But let's just say I am not a soldier, but I know soldiers' black humor. They talk about death, killing, and brutality, and they'll make it in a humorous way. Our jokes are sometimes in that sort of lane and line.
Death is a good thing to joke about. It's like if I died and I had a funeral, my only demand would be that it was a stand-up comedy show. Right?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
So you got to laugh at the face of death, at the face of all the dark stuff. That's the only way you can get away with it. Or you could spend $300 for an hour talking to a therapist.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd rather drink rum and listen to some jokes.
Well, I mean, you think about us. Death is the one thing that we will all go through. None of us are exempted from it. And so we do choose. And that's why I think that we've got more people who say, it's a celebration of life, which is awesome. It is a celebration of life.
Yeah.
I like the Frank Herbert view on it as well, where he was writing his books. Not Frank Herbert, sorry. It was Ender's Game. That was the book that was in. And it was one where they spoke about all the good things and the bad things about a person at the time of their death. And I think there's a nice humanity to that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole death angle, our humor, that industry, the more, so when I've worked in the more lighter stuff, building youth leadership programs and just looking after the low level stuff, no worries. We don't really engage in too much humor. We'll have a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
But when we deal with the more suicidality, sexual abuse, slavery elements, then let's just say that the jokes when we're alone, the jokes get quite dark.
Yeah. I mean, funerals are always, so annoying because you always hear all the good things about this person. And you always wonder, like, where is the part where he was an asshole and a narcissist? Tell me about those things too.
Yeah. And that always comes up at some point, but usually it's when we're all having a beersies or
after the funerals, there's an explosion. Funny. What are the sort of comedians do you listen to or watch? Or
comedians. I like, when I think about comedians, I mean, Dave Chappelle, all the normal sort of guys, very humorous, very intelligent take on society. Whether whether accurate or whether I agree or
Yeah.
disagree.
He's very intelligent.
Yeah, I like the intelligent step sewing. I like him. What's the name? Ben. Gosh, he was an English dude. Ben. Oh, I can't remember him. Very funny though. Back in the day.
Yeah.
I suppose, comedian wise, New Zealand, Billy T. James, and I know that's so cliched, or rather one that's is like a duh in New Zealand you have to. But I love Billy T. James' humor,
Yeah.
and I still watch it to this day. I even watched the sitcom that he had going there for a while,
Yeah.
and I think I miss that humor.
Yeah, I think I saw a video of him making fun of this. He was doing this piece about going to a Chinese restaurant, and he was making fun of this Chinese guy, and the video on yeah, and this video was all about how we've lost that.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
You know,
fair
it's
enough.
like we've become so PC. It's like, oh, there are certain things you can't joke about.
Yeah.
I think that's always a dangerous sign.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That when you can't joke about certain things.
And I think that the shutdown or the suppression of humor that we saw in the US that is now finally coming back out, and in the UK, which is a little bit coming back out, but actually no, in some ways it's getting worse.
Yeah.
It was starting to recover, but now it's not. Canada as well, Australia as well.
Yeah.
When you've got that suppression element, it ruins everything for everyone. I mean, who can you mock? White people and Christians. That's who you can mock. Oh, and heterosexual people. That's what you can mock.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But anything else, nah, not allowed to.
Yeah, I had a guest on my show from New York. He's a cartoonist, and he draws Prophet Muhammad.
Whoa.
And he's drawn him 600 times.
Wow.
He's had thousands of death threats. He's been shot at a conference where he was doing a competition for Prophet Muhammad cartoons.
Texas?
No, in Texas, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
2016.
Right, I know the event.
Yeah.
Wow.
You heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he won that competition. Bosch Forston. Yeah.
I know the name.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know the Bosch
Very
name.
fascinating guy. Very fascinating.
Very brave.
Very fascinating guy. And he knew so much about Prophet Muhammad and the fact that he was a warlord, he was a womanizer, he loved Jewish women, he might have been poisoned by a Jewish woman.
My understanding.
You know, but the comedy and the idea that we can sit and mock Islam and Muslims and prophets, it's stuff that we have to protect and keep on going, and stuff that even Joe Rogan wouldn't want to entertain on his show. You know, there's a lot of self-censoring goes on, but it's so good for the soul. You know. Yeah,
we need it, and it expands even outside of that. It's the one thing that I found becoming a problem in the New Zealand youth work sphere, which was when we had an issue with a young person, it started to become undesirable to mention the lack of a father, whereas we all knew in the field that if we had someone who's engaged in high levels of violence, or sexual behavior, or sexualized behavior, that they were almost definitely not going to have a father in the picture. So it made it easier for us to we'd go in there and say, right, where's dad? No dad, you know, and break down, cry and all that sort of stuff. But it means that we're able to start from a getting to the real bits as to what's going on in a young person's life. But then around about 2014, 15, the early to mid 10s, we started to see that people did not want to bring up the lack of a father as one of the core reasons for the child's abusive behavior. And it started to then move away from that. It started to move to this weird thing of institutional racism, inequity, the colonialism that has made them become more violent, or what they refer to as acts of survival.
Yeah, that's silly stuff.
And so the relationship between comedy and the suppression of comedy also starts to, you can see the suppression of research and fact-finding and therefore accurate ways of fixing problems.
Yeah. Whereas a lot of people, including myself, who didn't have a father around, we grow up differently and in a very positive way, because you go through that struggle very early on and you kind of become father yourself, and You become more independent and strong. There was a ex-military guy who helped capture Saddam Hussein, was on Joe Rogan. And he said, I'd only hire guys who actually didn't have fathers around.
Interesting.
Because they have a different kind of build, a positive, so you don't have to always kind of, when I came to New Zealand, I would get sucked into this conversation like, oh, we feel sorry for you, didn't have a dad around, we give you a bit of therapy. I'm like, go fuck yourself. Fuck you, I'm fine, okay, we all have, if you have a childhood, you had trauma, okay? It doesn't matter whether you were rich or you have parents or you didn't have parents. We all go through that kind of stuff. That is just life in many ways. You don't have to ruminate over this stuff, because if you ruminate about your problems, the problems grow in the mind.
Yeah, rumination is
instead
not.
You can
is
smoke
not
a
healthy.
joint.
Yeah.
Have some weed wherever it's legal.
Where is legal? The weed question. I don't mind sort of taking that. I was one of the team who sort of helped to push the weed to stay illegal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But
oh man, I'm not happy.
Some of the boys were like that. Yes,
Yeah,
some of the boys were like that. They're like, bro, bro, you know what we go through,
What
bro.
the hell?
What the hell?
Yeah.
And I did say to them, no, man, I love you, bro. Smoke up hard, go for it. I don't care. I know you can handle it. But if you get snapped, that's fine.
But if you make it legal, imagine all these guys. They actually become really good business people. They can,
Do you know what's happened overseas?
they can hustle. Where?
Colorado, Canada.
What's happened?
What they've seen is the idea was you'll get heaps of tax in, you'll be able to get rid of the gangs, the
Get rid
black
of the
market
black
will
markets.
shrink, and you'll have a lot of people who were illegal now starting to engage in law-abiding behavior, yada yada yada. That was what was pushed upon it, no problem. The problem is that's not what happened. What happened. And Colorado is the best one to look at because it's the first US state to go for it, and then on and on. There's a reason why they don't bring up Portugal too much these days. And what happened in Colorado was what we saw, in fact, was that the THC levels got pumped up. So at first, your regular weed was 4 to 8%. And then they managed to stick it up to 50, 60%. And some of the edibles and the dabs, they go up to 85, 90%. So it's no longer weed or a little bit of oil burning it up. It's become this whole nother thing, this whole nother heavy drug that's been used. And under the statistics of the Colorado ones, the Mountain Rockies, they found that death has gone up
Really?
by car crash. The insurances from people thieving to support their habit, their legal habit.
Wow.
They found that the children have become more and more attuned to absenteeism and low-level crime that leads on. They found that, in fact, it does lead to harder drugs, that it's not the whole, the gateway is a myth area. It wasn't. It was actually in there.
And would that be just a bump in the road because you allow all of a sudden everybody to smoke weed, and so this behavior kind of surfaces, but then
And
it
then goes
adjusts?
down a little bit. That was what would be expected, but that's not what has happened.
Because weed, I think, I don't think weed is the problem. I think human behavior is the problem.
Or why do we need weed, I suppose, could be arguable.
It's a free world. If I want to smoke a joint, I should be able to smoke a joint. If you guys can't handle yourself, not my problem.
Unless they make it your problem.
Well, they shouldn't. They don't. Why would they? I don't live in South Auckland.
I think the thing is when you talk about legal weed or the places in the Western culture which have legalized marijuana.
Yeah, for recreational purposes.
Yeah, for recreational purposes. I think the main problem was what was pitched to us, we knew was not going to happen, and it didn't happen. I'm thinking about the Canadian one. I think it's $4.50 for every $1. For every $1 that they get in from the tax credits and from the tax elements from selling the weed, they cost $4.5 for the social damage, which includes the man time hours for the ambulances, the insurances, the police hours,
Wow.
insurances, da. And this is not from some right-wing think tank. These are just the brutal stats of the government departments. In New Zealand, we would see exactly the same. And I think at some point we probably will legalise, and we'll see exactly the same pain. It'll increase to everyone else because we still in New Zealand think of weed as being that joint, a little bit of oil, crack it on the knives, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what happens. What happens is that the scientists, the commercialized scientists, get involved. They exponentiate what gives us the buzz, and then it goes from being just a normal bit of weed into something that's closer to heroin, and that's where your main problem comes into it.
Wow.
I mean, the US is in an opioid epidemic.
Yeah. So you should look up this business called Dr. Green.
Yes.
You heard of it?
Yes, I do know of it.
Yeah, it's a blockchain drop shipping business. And the idea is you spend $10,000 to get a digital key, and that gives you a drop shipping business. And they grow all the weed themselves, and they obviously you can trace it using crypto to the core of what was used. So it's opioid free, drug free, it's all clean, and you can sell it to anybody in any jurisdiction, and you can run that business in New Zealand because it's in crypto. And medicinal weed in New Zealand is legal. Medicinal cannabis is legal.
Yeah.
So if you have someone in New Zealand who's got a prescription for weed, cannabis, you can do the KYC, get them into the system, which is a crypto system, and you can order this very clean, traceable cannabis for this person that is exactly to that prescription. So that kind of stuff, it's really cool how there are these.
It sounds like a good one. Yeah, that's the one that they've removed the THC and they've kept out the other bits, or
I'm not too sure. The details.
I mean, Mum, I queried with Mum. I took the approach 2017-16. Mum was going through the last stages of her cancer, and I got a 50 bag for her. And I said, Mum, if you want, here, smoke it. If I get snapped, that's on me.
Did she smoke it?
Nah, she didn't. I think she wanted to for a little bit, but then she didn't.
Do you got it for her because it would help her?
I thought it might help with maybe some of the symptoms, or not symptoms, but some of the problem with chemo or something, anything really, like even just eating it in a cookie or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos online of people who have all sorts of issues. They smoke weed and all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
Like especially people with, what's that condition? With
Parkinson's.
Yeah, lots of...
Because the serotonin, your serotonin takes a hit. That's why, for example, some people who've got like Parkinson's and such, it might be beneficial, elements of it would be beneficial, but then those who are more neurologically frayed, maybe a little bit manic, it's not good at all. They should not be having it. So it's an interesting scientific discussion around those parts.
Yeah, I think we should just make weed legal. Come on.
Nah. I still say, and I'll still say it to my boys who I know who still take it, and I'll say, love you, bro. Go take it. If you get snapped, I'll be there. I'll be with you. But I'm still going to fight against it being legal. And every youth worker I know, including those who do smoke to take off the edge, they also are of the same belief as well. Because again, when weed becomes strong in any place, it's the younger people who start taking it more and more, and then that affects more and more and more outside of that.
Yeah.
Oh shucks, the dude who got sentenced to a despicable, he ended up raping a girl, and the girl ended up handed around. She got raped 5 times within a couple of days. They were smoking up weed. And I'm not saying that weed would do that, but I'm saying that weed is not this, oh no, people just smoke weed and then they'll be lovely and wonderful people. Nah, man, it just don't work like that.
Yeah, I mean, the human mind is fascinating, and human behavior is different for every individual when they are on alcohol or when they're on weed. So again, it's not the cannabis that's the problem, it's the human behavior. It's like, I always throw this thing around. It's like, why do we need to have laws around drink driving?
Yep.
Why would you drink and drive? It's stupid. Like, why would... it doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that?
Yep.
But it turns out people do.
Yeah.
And that's why it's there.
Oh,
It's nothing to do with alcohol. It's human behavior. And like anybody with common sense would be like, well, I actually can't drive the car, so there's no point in driving the car to go from A to B. I'm going to find a different means to go A to B. If I can't afford A to B, then I shouldn't be drinking, or I shouldn't be engaging into that. I mean, but I guess human brains, addictions.
No, fair enough. I think we should definitely be looking at what other comparable nations have done and based off what's happened in the US and Canada and arguably Portugal, I think those are big warnings to say, nah, we can't handle it. For whatever reason, we can't handle it. I think I'm also a pro Second Amendment guy, so I believe in the Second Amendment. But if our land was just going nutty and just killing each other all over the place, oh well, maybe we don't deserve it to have that.
Yeah. And I always take issue with that because it's like, why do I have to not smoke weed because you guys can't fucking get your shit together?
Yeah.
What has got to do with me? Give me the weed, you know.
Yeah.
But hey, I don't run governments.
That one there though. Also, the cops really. There was a de facto, or there was a pretty much a decriminalised element in New Zealand anyway. If you got snapped with a bit of weed, cops didn't really care. And I know that because I've asked them.
It's quite cruisy in New Zealand if you do get busted with weed.
But if we legalise it, they are going to pump that THC. They're going to pump that high into insane levels, like they've done overseas, and that's why it goes from being a little bit. You can just
put a limit on it. Why not? You just say above this point is illegal.
I'll use the euthanasia argument. I'm a very much anti-euthanasia guy as well, and I think we're seeing the slippery
Which got
slope.
approved.
Which the
euthanasia thing is.
It's approved. Yeah, that's right. But of course now they want to have it being given to 13 and 14-year-olds, and
really,
and there's an eventual move towards having older people be able to just take it for no reason apart from. Just don't want to be here anymore.
Wow.
Now I think that's incredibly dangerous, and it's the sliding slope that we talked about for so many months. And that's one of the reasons why nearly the entirety of the medical profession said, no, don't do it. So I would say that's an example. Once you say, no, all good, we'll have weed as being recreationally available, but just keep it at this level. It doesn't take long before that becomes, oh, well, no, only 10%. Oh, wait, let's make it 15. Let's make it 18. Come on, man, we've got no problem. Boom, 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 and it'll go up from there. It's always easier just to say, no.
Yeah, you have the same argument with free speech, right? It's like, well, let's use censorship because if everybody says everything, we're going to have violence and people are going to say hateful things, and all these protests about the Jews are happening because of all the free speech, and everybody's an anti-Semite today, and everybody's a Jew hater, and everybody's a Zionist hater. And then you kind of go, well, that's happening probably because we've created a society where no one's allowed to learn how to express themselves. So now you give them guns and they go bang, 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 right? So that happens. And so, it's like, well, let's take everybody's guns away. Okay, that's cool because now we don't have anybody killing everybody, or we don't have any more school shootings. But all of a sudden the government goes rogue, goes after its citizens. The citizens don't know how to defend themselves.
Yep,
that's why you have the Second Amendment, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same argument. It's like,
I think there's a different argument in terms of, well, you've got three in there. I think the Second Amendment, the reason why the Second Amendment for the US was placed in place was a powerful one, and I think that's a very good example of where it needs to be protected, but less so just for having it for hunting purposes or whatever. It's that tyranny of the government thing, which I really like. The other one about equating the freedom of speech with weed, effectively, is that the passage of ideas needs to be protected, whatever those ideas are. That's why it's important that we should be able to have people who say, legalize weed, make it all good, and that should be fine. And we should also have people who say, no, don't legalize weed because the activity of it causes great harm to themselves and to other people. So that's why I think it is different. We need to protect the idea that the free passage of ideas, and the other one is different. That's an action and activity that's been deemed. That's why we don't have kids. That's why we don't have kids driving until they're 15, 16, which arguably whatever.
Yeah, it's all fun arguments to be had, and I get your point. You can't, you don't want to do stuff that causes a lot of harm. But I also get my argument that, people got to have their freedoms to do what they want to do. But we kind of live in this optics of governments don't have a lot of resources, so everybody needs to compromise because we need to save this group of people. We had that with COVID-19, right? It's like, man, why do I have to sit at home for 4 months because you want to save the elderly people and the people with immunity compromise? Why don't you put them in an MIQ? Take them out of society, put them in an MIQ. It's cheaper, and let everybody else run away and do the stuff they want to do. So, there's always all these different arguments.
I think
different points and different trigger points. And
because now, I guess what you're referring to there is like, what is conservatism, libertarianism? The libertarian will go, nah, man, let me do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
If I want to put a mask on my face, if I want to smoke weed, then that's up to me and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Whereas, and I am a conservative, and a conservative, what we try to do, or what we view government as needing to do, is to restrain the excesses of the individual and also the government, and then to set the parameters like that, and then let everyone sort of fight together. Whereas a libertarian, we know, that they're vastly more, no, I should do what I want. What I want to do is what I want to do. And there's where we overlap a little bit, especially in terms of economics, but when it comes to social things, for example, a conservative says that a family is the underpinning of society. Therefore, we are very strong about protecting the family and encouraging the family, the nuclear family. Yeah. I grew up with 2 broken homes. So I had broken home, then I went to another home, and then that broke down. So I had multiple broken homes. My work has been a lot around the statistics and the research around nuclear families, and that's what ended up leading me into conservatism. I went in as a not far left, but pretty hard to the left guy, and I ended up going to the right. COVID was, I think, the rule of the left, leftism, progressivism, whatever we want to call it. And we saw the government expand out, become huge and massive, the suppression of smaller businesses, the removal of elements of free speech, and then the power, the authoritarianism that grew out from that.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's a great example to look at as a warning anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely a liberal, but I'm a classical
liberal. I thought you would be. I thought you'd be classical liberal.
And if you have free choice, you have free will, you have less government, you have capitalism, all that stuff that I really enjoy. But if you put me at a scale of like my views today, I'm definitely a conservative.
Okay.
Because the goalposts have changed.
Oh, the goalposts have changed. Yeah.
And so that's why you have the same phenomenon with Trump. It's like, why is all of a sudden everybody's a MAGA supporter, right? Is everybody far right? No, but the goalposts has shifted because the left have pushed their group into this far left.
Oh, they are far left, yes. Yeah.
So they've pushed the goalpost that way. So all of a sudden I sit at the conservatives. Like, no, but I'm not, you know?
Yeah, you're classical liberal.
Like I'm a very liberal person.
Yep.
I've got nothing to do with being a conservative. But and that's why you see this whole immigration debate with Elon Musk and H-1B visas that exploded around Christmas Day, pretty much, and Boxing Day. And that was like the conservative MAGA going nuts on this sort of new MAGA group that have come in, and they're influencing Trump now, and everything Elon says goes. Or you can see how Trump's appointing all these guys that Elon's recommending, and he's living literally in Mar-a-Lago, and
I don't know how. I think you're right. I think Elon's been given quite a bit of influence, been giving influence,
an oligarch.
I'm not sure if I'd go that far yet.
No, that's what Biden said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Or what Biden read off his script
on the teleprompter.
On the teleprompter.
Somebody told him to say that.
Someone told him, and then they said, "Come here, come over here."
Yeah.
This way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That whole thing. I mean, I'm so relieved that Trump is in. I think he'll provide a great deal of stability. I think Kamala Harris was. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I didn't think I would find someone worse than Hillary Clinton to be a presidential candidate. But Kamala was. I mean, she was a DI hire. That's beyond any type of disagreement on that one. She was considered to be the most progressive politician who was in the that area that she was in.
Yeah.
I think she would have been horrific for the country. Horrific.
Yeah, I think she exposed the deep state more than the deep state itself exposed itself. You know, because when you look at her, she never won a primary, and she ended up becoming the vice president.
Yep.
And never popular. And then all of a sudden, she is running to be the president.
Yep.
And when you get to that point, the amount of attention you're getting and your history and your background, and when people learn about you in that lens as becoming the president of the free world, you very quickly learn that she's got there because that's the kind of hustle she's been doing from day one.
Yep.
That's how she's got there.
Although arguably I say day one, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but she was a booty call. Day one was a booty call, and then she went into the DEI.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Who was it with? Was it governor of California?
I don't think somewhere.
Something like that.
Yeah, but she was the mistress, and that gave her the leg up in terms of politics. And
did you see the video of him of Kamala hanging out with him at a club or something when they were dating? And this reporter says, "Is this your father?" And she goes, no.
Orcs.
Yeah.
Straight orcs.
Because I think they had a 20, 30-year age.
Oh, yeah, it was massive. I mean, she was the mistress. Not a good way to start off with, Trump is not a great example of how to conduct oneself in terms of domestic affairs either. But one thing that I do love is there's been an arc to him. And that's where I think he has, over the years, whether it's mellowed down or whether he's gained enough knowledge or whatever it is, he's got a good, strong family now, and he's
only had 2 marriages, I think
has it only been 2 marriages?
I think so.
Okay.
2 or 3?
I think 3. Yeah, I think 3.
Three.
Yep.
3.
And even the way he made an awesome joke the other day when they were saying, are you afraid of strong women, telling you that you're wrong? He said, my wife tells me I'm wrong all the time. I thought, hey, onto it.
He's got a lot of amazing women around him.
Yeah.
I think Mark Cuban made a big mistake saying he's got stupid women around him. That was a week before the elections, and Kamala's team asked him to stop talking about the elections, and he disappeared from that picture, and he's kind of disappeared since then. That was November. But because he got a lot of people around Trump upset because they were pretty strong, intelligent women.
Yeah.
Trump's
strong.
lawyer, Trump's chief of staff.
Oh, gosh,
chief
the
of
lawyer's
staff.
feisty as.
Yeah. She's an Arab, so.
yeah, fair enough. But you're right, that's strong. I mean, my favorite, the woman who I would absolutely love to vote for if she put her head into the ring is Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah. She came over. A Democrat who fought all her way through, who destroyed Kamala in the 2016, I think it was 2016 or 2020.
Yeah.
And then she very publicly ended up coming over to Republican side.
Well, she has the opportunity to run in 2028. She's going to be the director of national intelligence, which is like a huge job. She's incredibly smart. She's got a very strong moral compass. She's very truthful. She's a patriot. She's been in the army. She's a Republican. And I think the first female president in America will be a Republican. It won't be a Democrat.
Okay.
I think so.
Right.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, so she has a chance to run. She just has to go through the primaries.
Yep.
I don't know. I think a lot of people are probably thinking that J.D. Vance is going to run in 2028. But, the thing with being a vice president, it's a very compromised position. You don't have a lot of power. You're pretty much just sitting there as a holding, kind of thing. And I think he plays that support role really well for Trump.
Yep.
He's a great guy. He communicates
Definitely.
well, and he really fits into that picture really well. But you're talking about, the president and who is going to take the fight to who, and who's going to be more popular and who's going to be more appealing. He certainly fits that image of what a Republican should look like.
Yep, definitely.
Tulsi doesn't. She doesn't fit that image of what a republic, like
Not
a traditional.
the crafted narrative. You're not the traditional. Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
but I guess
middle-aged white male. Yep.
the Republican Party has now become the party of the working class.
Oh yeah.
Which is bizarre, right?
I actually wouldn't say so. I mean,
Right.
I remember. I look at the Democrats in the same way that I look at the Labour Party in New Zealand. Now, because most of my blood is Pacifica blood, we are obedient to the Labour Party, and over there it's the Black American. But I wasn't surprised to discover that the Republican Party was the anti-slavery party. That they went in there to fight against slavery, and that the Democrats were the quite a racist party. In fact, it was from them, their militant arm. They ended up naming themselves the KKK. So the process of that history, and then this Southern switch, which was a total myth. Anyone with a reasonable understanding of history knows that it was an absolute myth. And coming back out again, I think what the Republicans perhaps failed in a narrative of what they were. They always went for in general, they always went for the best person for the job, and they always went for what was going to work. The problem with that is it doesn't look very sexy. It doesn't look cool. The Democrats were at least able to bring out the wordings and the terminology and the big balance accounts of saying, oh man, look, we're here for some exciting stuff. Look, here we got LBJ, we've got all of these new exciting people. We've got Clinton, these exciting people, yada, 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 and all that sort of stuff. And that's, I think they're just very clever in their marketing, much more clever than Republicans.
Yeah, there's a lot of female governors who are Republican. They might run. I think RFK Jr., if he converts to the Republican Party, he has a good chance because he's already run and he was very popular and he's a Kennedy, you know. But I think my choice would be Tulsi.
Oh yeah,
as the president of America. I think she would be amazing.
Yep. And I think both you and I might even agree that we don't care about the fact that she's a female. I think in terms of the best person for the job at this stage, I think is Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, and Hawaii is my favorite place to go.
Yeah, Hawaii is awesome. Yeah.
You know, the whole aloha vibe. She's got that. Do you follow her father on X?
No.
You should.
No, but I'm going to.
He's great. He's always like the aloha vibes, making barbecues and, you know,
nice.
wishing everybody a happy morning. And he's great. I'm always follow him, but it's a positive content too, you know.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's got a good vibe. You know,
she's awesome. Yeah, she's awesome. She's strong. And you're right. I think I'm trying to think of what her position is, a lieutenant colonel or something like that.
Don't know.
But she served. I believe she served in theatre. So
crazy, right? She's gone from being in the terror list as a spy by the Biden administration to being the head of the spy agency.
Oh, she's awesome. Yeah, it'll be great.
It's so funny.
And then there's other one. Ben Carson. I love Ben Carson, and he's part of the Trump administration.
Who is he?
He's the.
Oh yes, Ben Carson. Yeah.
You know,
he's a really good man.
Yeah, a good man.
The thing that's most funny about him is he has a painting in his house of him and Jesus.
Oh, true.
It's like him sitting on the chair and Jesus standing next to him, like leaning over him.
Oh,
it's so good.
Yeah.
It's like that's Ben Carson, you know. But yeah, I think he did really well in Trump's first administration as the Secretary of Housing, I think. Or
it was Secretary of Housing, which okay.
Yeah,
cool
he seems to be like a just good, decent man, honest, and
I think that's what's good is that in the Republican side, in the administration of Trump, you've got people who've got good character, so they're not just skilled at what they came from, but they've got good character, they've got good integrity. It's been tested before, and I think that's a big positive.
Yeah, and this whole election really brought to the surface, and thanks to X as well, that how much in 2020 the whole Republican Party was demonized. Like they were very awful people, and they were successful in doing that. The George Soros, the CNNs, all of that, they were very, very successful. In demonizing someone like Trump. And But then, satire was also very powerful in kind of breaking those barriers where, you think about Trump, he never started any wars. He did the peace deal, Abraham Accords. He pretty much neutralized Iran and all their investments for these terrorists and the proxies. And Biden, he just didn't do anything of that, and Iran became stronger. He allowed $5 billion to go back to Iran. They funded Hamas to do this attack. 1,200 people were murdered. And you can he start the whole, funding billions of dollars to Ukraine, coming out of Afghanistan.
That one, I think that one is a fascinating case study into what I think is blatant corruption.
It is. And I think there's a woman, I forgot her name. She and her father and her family have been very much involved in using Ukraine as a proxy. And she took Obama to Ukraine when he was a senator, I think, and kind of got him sucked into this whole idea of, Ukraine being a strategic military location for us. We get close to, Russia, we can provoke and all that stuff. There's a lot there. There's a lot there.
Yeah. I think it'd be really interesting when Trump gets in as to what he's going to release. I think it's important to be able to follow up on the Hunter Biden laptop, regardless as to whether his dad has gotten him out already or not, of the potential trouble that he could be in. And I think
there was an announcement today that Trump was going to remove secret clearance. A secret clearance of 51 agents who lied and hid the whole laptop story.
Wow.
It has to be done. Front page of the New York Post.
Right. I mean, that is massive. That has to be done.
Yeah.
You can't have Mockingbird-style CIA operations going on.
I think what they'll do is they'll do something similar to Twitter files. They're going to get Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi to have access to declassified files and say, go report. And they're going to have the likes of Joe Rogan in the press room,
nice.
Mario Nawfal, citizen journalist in the press room, and they're going to have X in the press room, so journalists can report directly from X. So there's going to be a lot of different ways of reporting, new information. There's going to be a lot of gaslighting of the Trump administration, which is kind of what National did in New Zealand for their first year. They knew that they were not actually going to fix the economy or do anything good things because it's not in their control. They don't run the inflation, the global markets. So they focused on gaslighting and just, it's all their fault and they ruined it. And so they did this and they did that and they're the problem. Even Simeon Brown was doing this yesterday when he got elected as the Minister of Health. And like, the previous government screwed this and they did this. So there's a lot of appetite in that. And I think for the next 12 months, you will see a lot of that coming from these sort of Twitter files type stuff, the declassification of files, and look at what Biden did, look at what Kamala did, look at what these guys been up to, look at what Obama did. They'll do this for 12 months. It's just constant feeding the public about all the stuff that they can rage about. They can change their minds about what's right and what's wrong. Or there'll be a lot of that kind of stuff that will go on, and focus on policy reset, and they'll do some policy reset. Some won't work. They'll say, well, it takes time. We need another term. You can already hear from National, we need another term because we need more time.
But
they're making a lot of mistakes.
But it was Labor's fault, or not even fault. It was Labor's doing that nearly bankrupted the New Zealand system. You'll be right in saying that both Labor and National and their own alleged parties have been doing damage for sure. But that people look at the 2020 to 23 campaign cycle, but 2017 to 2020 was always also quite dramatic. And when you look at the Labour responsibility, the measles epidemic in Samoa. In Samoa, you had 81 children who died, which was absolutely horrific for that nation. When you deep dived into it, you found that I believe it was about a year before that. This was 2018 or so, or give or take. The Contagious Diseases Centre was imploring the government to improve on their abysmal standards. when National was in, first off, I'm not a National supporter, never voted for National, not a big fan of many of them. Some of them I like. But when Labour took over in 2017, the rates of vaccination for measles, which I'm okay with the measles vaccination, were very, very high in New Zealand. Very, very high. Labour came in, they took off things like health targets and such, and the vaccination records just went like that. And so much so that the centre, on public record, said, you need to fix this, otherwise a measles epidemic is going to occur. Fast forward about, I think it was 5 or 6 months, and that's exactly what happened. And it was a ground zero. The ground zero patient for the Samoa deaths was was Auckland, or was a New Zealand child who went over to Samoa, and then that spread from there. And so when we look at some of the devastating outcomes from the last few years, it is actually a direct policy that's coming from the Labour Party.
Yeah, you listen to someone like Javier Milei, the president of Argentina. He says the radical left, you don't give them an inch, and if you allow them to influence policy, they'll get you killed and murdered.
He's quite strong, that guy.
He's very strong. And hey, he's got a surplus for the first time ever in the history of Argentina, 100 years.
Yep.
You know? And you look at Nicola Willis, the finance minister of New Zealand, a lot of people are not happy about how she's managed the books for the first 12 months. There are gaps. There's billions missing. There is the... trying to make money off the smoking industry to trying to pay for the tax cuts they're doing. And why do the landlord needs more money? I'm not saying I support those ideas.
Yep.
There was a very interesting photo and image of America's wealth Trump posted on X. And America was very wealthy between 1841 and 1914, and all of a sudden it disappeared, and that was all to do with tariffs. So he made this argument, is like, forget about tax cuts, forget about jobs. Yes, they're important, blah, blah, blah. But if you really want to get wealthy, it's tariffs. We got to go full noise on tariffs. We got to stop all these countries exploiting us. Canada, Mexico, China, the Panama Canal, Greenland, we gotta go full noise, and we gotta make our money on tariffs, and we'll be very wealthy. And Americans have gotten very wealthy since he's got elected. It's just gone over the roof for a lot of people. So I think the criticism for me with the National Party in the last 12 months is they haven't gone aggressive enough.
Fair. Yeah. I'd go I think in terms of economics, they've slashed and burned a lot of the previous growth that the Labour Party did. So I think they're trying to be as pragmatic as they can. But I think there's a lot that they've done, but I think you're right, they probably haven't been aggressive enough. I think there's a lot of people who are afraid of the 1984-87 policy, which is a neoliberal policies that came out from Roger Douglas, as well as remembering the Ruth Richardson black budget of, I think it was 91, where it was effectively just nearly completely, everything was slashed down to the bones, and you just had to work or you starved nearly to that close to that degree.
Right.
I think maybe they've just been politically pragmatic. I tend to agree with you. I think that they need to be a lot more aggressive. I think they're doing okay in terms of economics. I think where they are very weak is civil rights. And I think they are weak, but not as weak, in terms of the healthcare of children and the education system. So I think they've got some very big gaps that they need to look at, but they are trying to repair.
The healthcare for kids is awful. Like my daughter had chronic tonsils, and for 2 years they would not even look at her, and they'll be like, we'll call you when there's a spot. And I'm like, what the fuck are you fucking talking about? This is a child. It's damaging her like sleep and her speech, and it's like, oh, we don't care, we can't like take them out. It takes 20 minutes to take out tonsils. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yep.
So I was fucking angry.
Yeah.
But I think it's still the case now in terms of that service,
Yep.
And there are places you look at like Taranaki, they don't even have a cancer treatment facility. So what they do with cancer patients, they chuck them in a bus.
Yep.
And they give them a $50 voucher, and you go on a 4-hour ride to Palmerston North, get your chemo, and sit back in the bus and come every Friday. It's like, man, this is messed up.
Yep.
This is New Zealand. This is not Gaza, you know?
No, but this is more like Canada. New Zealand is a bit more like Canada when we talk about our healthcare system. And
Right.
the problem with that is exactly the same problem that you see in Canada. Because we've effectively socialized our healthcare system, the good part of that is that low-level illnesses, sicknesses are usually pretty good. We're pretty good at that because we can just, it's on the public health system, so we can get whatever, to a degree, whatever we want. Where it becomes a problem is if it's an important, a major or a more skill-required operation or level of care. And that's where it basically gets to the choke points. And because it's a socialized healthcare system as well, we can't pay our doctors, our nurses, our therapists, radiologists what they could get over in a different country, which is more privatized, even if it's not fully privatized. So Australia, the US is a great example. You know, taking away from the negatives about the COVID vaccine and all of that, the best examples of quality medical advancements have come from the US, the United States. The top 10, 8 of them are United States medical companies. And a lot of that is because if I build something that's going to make people's lives better, that's a great bonus, but really these guys are going to want to buy it. So I'm going to make the best product to have a better quality of life, and then all these other people want to buy it. New Zealand, we don't really operate that way. We say, right, taxes come into us, and now we've got to go buy off from these other guys equipment and pharmaceutical products in order to do our best to look after people. One stage, I love it because myself and my kids have been able to take on that essentially free healthcare system and go there. But when we've had to, and my mum was a good example of this, when we required to have more higher level needs, bloody hard, very long. In fact, even for my one, I remember I had to get my molars cut out of my jawline. I had to wait 9 months, and every couple of months, my teeth would puff up my mouth, and I'd have to take a whole bunch of antibiotics to heal it. So essentially, I was wounded, and I had to live in that wound for nearly 9 months.
Yeah. As I was saying, my daughter, and then eventually I had to pay private
Right.
to get them out.
Right.
You know, and they just wouldn't. You got 9 months. She had to wait for 2 years, and they were still like, no, there's no date. We'll tell you when there's a date. It's like, well, when there's a date? Well, you know what? When she's 30?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, well, there's no date. See you later. And it's like, man, this is like, this is like, we're not going to service you. You know,
It's overwhelmed, and it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse.
So what do you make up of all these reshuffles in the government cabinet and ministers?
I am a fan of Simeon Brown. I think he's a good one. I think he's been given health, which I think is a very difficult one to take on. But out of all of them who could do it, it's him. I don't think it's window dressing. I do think it's a reaction to not just National would have known about the poll coming out very recently that had them in the doldrums, so to speak. They would have already known about it. So I think that it makes sense also for Melissa Lee to lose her portfolio. I think she didn't really do too much, and it's a shame because I actually liked her. I thought she'd be
I think
a good
he
one.
got that wrong. I think when he was the Minister of Media and Broadcasting, I thought she was doing a job that she should be doing, which was get the government out of the media environment, because a lot of the distrust that's been caused and the fake news that's been caused is because the funding that's gone from government to media, and then the expectation of telling COVID news in a way that government expected them to,
Yep.
and that then leads you to government propaganda
Yep.
using media.
Oh, which it did.
Yeah, which it did. So she came in, she was like, no, we're not going to do that. You guys have to innovate and run the industry. We're not going to fund you. And so the response was, not surprisingly strong. And then Luxon came in and removed her.
See, I think that would be wrong that's definitely wrong for Luxon to do if she was doing a good job in terms of getting rid of the government, being very loudly about that. I think she was not, and going back to what you mentioned before, I think she should have been more aggressive about that. I think she should have gone in there with a flamethrower and just ripped out any type of funding, made it clear from the get-go, black, white, I'm standing on this, get the hell out.
She did that.
We don't anything. She was not as harsh as what I think she should have been. And perhaps that was
Well,
due
do you
to,
think Paul Goldsmith is harsh? Well, he's
no.
kind of gone opposite direction.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
So why does
Fair
he
point.
mean to? So that is an indication that Luxon did not want her to go hard.
Yeah, Luxon.
And Luxon wants to keep the media. He's starting to kind of want the media to start to take their side.
Yep.
And that's why Paul Goldsmith started to say, well, we might look into this Digital Fair Bill Act because Google's making $1 billion. You want a little bit money from Google. And Google is saying, well, if you do that, we'll take all these media companies from New Zealand off the Google search list. That means you're going to have a lot of Kiwis going, well, we might go and join X because that's where all the news is, because I can't get them on my Google search anymore and I don't watch TV. So all of a sudden you have these big companies struggling and Kiwis are going on X to get the news in a different way, and they have to do a lot of self-learning as to how they can interpret the news through citizen journalists and podcasts like us. And that drives a huge shift in the culture. And government loses that arm of propaganda. They still do it now. I think that they still do propaganda.
I agree. I was hearing even what was traditionally a conservative right wing, which was a ZB, NZB Talkback. Even their news, if you listen to their news on the morning shows, there is a constant thread of leftism that constantly pours out there. Yeah, it's fair. I think perhaps what we need to really look at perhaps is Chris Luxon himself, because I think for the economy he's good and solid. John Key, good and solid, not a patriot. John Key was not a patriot, and I think Chris Luxon is not a patriot, or I have not seen evidence that he's a patriot. That's, I think, my personal belief is that's a prerequisite for a leader of any country.
Yeah, he's come with this mindset that I'm a businessman and I'm gonna run this as a business and we're gonna get it fixed, and
which he never had.
And he has
didn't
this
hide that.
fake media marketing kind of persona, and it's just the same. What I say to you is. What I say to you is. What I say to you is. So can you stop saying that, please?
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like he needs to kind of change his.
Yeah, he's let a lot of. I've talked to a lot of National Parties, not just voters but supporters, those who put money into the party. They're quite disappointed, and a lot of it's around the civil rights. Civil rights seems to be a big one actually for them.
What do you mean by civil rights?
The idea of so in New Zealand, of course, we've got a further extreme group of people who want extra rights for Māori, for example. So right now, there are some things I can do that you cannot. Now they're starting to.
What sort of thing? Smoke weed?
So
You got special rights?
Hey.
Hey, what can I say? I'm just an immigrant.
Oh, God, get the iwi supplying you. All good. But there are some things in some areas that you can do. For example, if you go, and I'm going to do a silly one, but it is a real one. If I wanted to go and hunt mutton birds, for example, in a particular regional location in New Zealand, I can only do that if I'm with a particular iwi. I can only do that if I'm there. Or if there are certain regions in New Zealand where if you label a beach rahui, or you give a command of a beach or some sort of location, you're strongly pushed to not be there. Now, to be fair, that's not currently law, but there is the whole mecca, or there's some legal arguments that should effectively make it law.
What about cannibalism? Are you allowed to do that?
Well, one of the great things about Christianity coming to New Zealand was that there was the cannibalism got rid of. Cannibalism, because I'm actually having a talk with a very strong Maori activist tomorrow,
Yeah.
and I think that he is okay with what we used to think that many people think that cannibalism in Maori was very light and was not really there, but it was actually common practice.
Yeah, well, Paul Moon
Oh, right,
wrote a
right,
book on it.
yes, okay,
And so he
Right.
talked about it a lot,
yeah.
which is why I brought it up. Yeah, so you don't think that Maori people should have special rights?
No. Yes, or yes, I do. I do not believe that Maori people should have special rights. There's no way that now they've gotten rid of it. But before, my children would go in front of your children if they both needed to have a operation. If we had to have a sort of a high level operation, my children will get it before yours
Because you're Maori.
because I'm Maori, and that's utterly wrong. That is inherently wrong.
Well, that's coming from this whole idea of activism that has brought Treaty of Waitangi as a legitimate founding document in the parliament.
So the Treaty of Waitangi is not a founding document, though. This is the
That's what I kind of seem to picked up from Paul Moon.
right.
Not that he said that to me. You listen to the podcast yourself, but yeah, it seems like from 1840 to 1975 there was nothing to do with Treaty of Waitangi in the governing of New Zealand, which is a parliament that was created by the British without the consultation of the Maori and the chiefs and whatnot. But it all of a sudden starts to pop up because the activists pick it up and they start to get all the local supports and saying, hey, we need to fight this.
Yep.
You know, because see, our version says we have right to sovereignty and their version says this. So we're going to create this polarization and division and blah, blah, blah. We'll come up with some principles and we'll get all this extra money and extra land. And then, you know, and that's why we have now this whole David Seymour is a racist.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And narrative that comes out of it. But it's very interesting learning from Paul Moon about the early deliberate migration of Polynesians in New Zealand, which went on for 200 years, and then it stopped, and that knowledge of migration was lost, and then a unique culture was created, and the early settlements from New South Wales, European settlers would come here for a month or two for trade, fishing. The Maori people were trading with Australians,
Yep.
and then 1814 is when the permanent settlers came in from the British, from the UK. Here it was the New Zealand Company that was doing trade deals,
Yep.
dodgy deals. And then the British government decided to step in and try to make sure that the Maori people don't get, you know, screwed up. But they also felt that they had to look after the 2,000 permanent settlers from the UK because they had rights back home.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden mass migration happens because there's a British office and a colony. And then Busby had this idea of a confederation of all the 33 chiefs that have signed this document that got thrown out. And then there's the treaty, and it was fascinating stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's really fascinating.
Paul
But
Moon's
none of
deep
it,
one.
none of that kind of tells me that the Treaty of Waitangi. And I asked him, I said, well, why do we celebrate the Waitangi Day then as like the day that New Zealand was created? It's like the New Zealand Independence Day. This just doesn't add up.
We
And I think
we should be celebrating Waitangi Day. We actually should. We should be celebrating it.
Why?
The problem, because it was a day where there was a treaty that was born. Now, that is not the day that New Zealand was born, to be fair. It is not our founding document. If you were to, and Paul would have explained this far better than I look at 1852 and 1947. 1852 is a Constitution Act, and then 1947 is when we adopted the Westminster Statute. That's sort of where the law is the law.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to recognise the signing
Why
of the
can't it
treaty.
be New Zealand Day? What's the problem?
Don't bother me. New Zealand Day, fine. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me one way or the other.
Can just be New Zealand Day.
I think we should celebrate it. The problem is that
Waitangi Day takes away the pre-European history of Maori people, and it takes away. It just makes it all muddy in my mind.
I like the idea of keeping it Waitangi Day simply because it's a historical hook. It's something which we can look at. Thanksgiving. We can look at Thanksgiving, the episode of Thanksgiving Day, where that came from, the
Yeah, you
parties
can have
we
a
played
Waitangi
and
Day,
stuff
but it
like
doesn't
that.
have to be the
The big one.
the Independent Day.
Oh, that's fair.
know.
That's absolutely fair. I know a Niue, I can't even remember the date of it, but there's a date which is celebrated as Independence Day, and that's a date of independence. It's celebrated very strongly. But for New Zealand, I suppose in New Zealand it would be boring because it would be either 1947, the adoption of the Westminster Act. It's a little bit boring. Whereas Waitangi provides, I think, an important date of coming together from the Crown, from the Queen, to different tribes within New Zealand. I like it. I also the only
I love the Matariki one
okay
because I love the stars.
That's the one I'm not a big fan of.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know much about it, but
I'm happy
I love
to take the day off from work.
Yeah.
Thumbs up for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea that the Maori people were looking into the stars for navigation and for meaning and being connected to other bodily worlds.
Okay,
and
so
I love that stars, and I love that stuff.
The idea is awesome. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Love the idea. I think, looking at Matariki or Pleiades, whatever you want to call it, great, no problem. But when I sat at the feet of many kaumātua, both male and female, I went through various marae. I've probably been through a couple of dozen marae, as in slept on them, done the whole whai kōrero, all that sort of stuff. I don't recall ever being discussed Matariki in anything more than a small discussion point. It was never regarded as in the start of the harvest and the white man snatched it from us and whatever the narrative of Matariki is
So
now.
how did it become what it's become now?
Oh, academics. It's academics. And I know that they pushed this whole Mātauranga Māori type of area.
These bloody think tanks.
Oh, well, actually, think tanks, I'm not as opposed to, because think tanks usually combine academics with real world, with frontline people. So I sort of am okay there a little bit. But, the academics really did get involved in a lot of the things, a lot of the problems now. The 1975 law was made even more politicized and made extreme into apartheid-style systems. That was from the academics. The academics are the ones who keep pushing all of this. Even if you look at today, transgenderism, the chest fitting, the idea that the midwifery council, all of that's coming from far left academics in the university, in tertiary education.
Right. Yeah, they always mess things up,
They do. They need to. If anywhere there's free speech censored, it's the universities. It is so heavily censored, it's not even funny. Fear exists on there a lot.
Which is why I was surprised Paul Moon to be so, open.
Yep.
And I guess he doesn't fall in that. He's got very strong.
Oh, he does, yeah. And no one can touch him. He's one of those guys. When you talk about mana, you said it before, where he carries an aura. He walks onto any area, no one's gonna head to head him. No one.
Really?
Yeah, no one's gonna head to head him.
Why do you think that is?
Because he's got too much mana. His mana is he walks in and there's just a sense of aura to him. But more than that, when he speaks, he speaks with practiced authority. When he says something, people will try to disagree with him on various TikTok videos and little YouTube bits. I've seen them, but they will not go directly against Paul Moon. Even I disagree with Paul on a couple of things, but if he's in the room, I'm just shutting my mouth. I'm just gonna.
Really? Yeah. He. I mean, we debated about God.
Right.
He said I'm an atheist and he's a believer. So we went on that debate for like 30 minutes.
Oh, awesome.
It was really fun.
Nice.
It was really good fun.
Yeah.
I kind of threw at him this idea that you take all the science and you burn it. And you take all the religion and you burn it. Science will come back exactly as it is.
Signs.
Science.
Oh,
Physics.
science. Right, right,
yeah.
right. Of
Yeah.
course. Yep.
Take everything we've learned about physics and science and maths, right? You burn that. Well, it will come back in 1,000 years exactly how we know everything about maths and science and physics right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the same experiments we'll do again and again and again.
Bit of conjecture there, but yeah, not bad.
But the
I think
religions won't come back as it is. But he had a really good response to it, and it was really good fun.
What was his response?
I think he kind of said, yes, the religions won't come back as it is, but that doesn't mean that religions is not in us. That doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. So I was like, oh, that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, that does make sense. I do find it fascinating that when I've looked these up before, it's the Judeo-Christian principles, the Christian God in a sense, or those who follow the Christian God who found the most repeatable instances. When you look at the Big Bang Theory, the computer systems, the elements around the cosmological mathematics that they have there, even the Earth does not. The sun does not go around the Earth goes around the sun. Even that was done from a devout Christian, as opposed to the hierarchy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's another one I love is that God knows how everything was created except himself.
Jeez, I mean, that stuff goes... I mean, if we're talking about... If we expand our own human minds to go out, then the elements of being eternal, I think that goes beyond what we are...
We have the capacity to...
Yeah, we can come up with theories and ideas, but for us to sit in a place and then attempt to meld ourselves with such a view of it, I think goes beyond us.
Have you heard of Bobby Azarian? He wrote a book called The Romance of Reality, How Universe is Organizing Itself to Create Life and Consciousness.
No, I don't know the writer.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Okay.
And I mean, I love that kind of stuff personally. This idea that the universe is, you kind of, I mean, when you talk about God, there is like, two things. You can say, well, you can say there is God in the fact that we have this universe is vast. And so somehow it was created, whether it's all just material and organize itself, it's physics and it's chemistry, it's, collisions and it's gas and it's, nitrogen and hydrogen and carbon, which is, you think about 70% of what exists in the universe, we are made of that. So we are a product of dust and sun and, life. And then there's singular cells, multiple cells, there's the chimps. I'm still a chimp, but there are humans after chimps,
I think we're a bit different.
And so there is that one concept that I love, and then there's this other concept that God is like a moral. He's the governor of morality.
Yep.
And so you have to pray or you have to submit yourself to God, and you have to watch yourself. And if you're not following the teachings of the God, so there's these two ideas of God.
I think the Christian God has some significant differences to things like Buddhism, paganism, animism. I think there are a couple of very, very big differences. And even in terms of the monotheistic, I think that there is a couple of big differences between the Judaism and Islam and Christianity. I think there's the Christian God. There is some significant differences there.
Yeah, and I asked Paul about before the mercenaries came here, and a lot of Maori people joined Christianity. What was religion like before that? And he said, well, it didn't really exist, but there was some kind of religion that kind of existed.
There was mythology involved around.
That's, I think, what he mentioned.
Yeah, it was more of a reaction to things that was going along. Even the ideas around Papatūnuku and
yeah, it's amazing that he gets so much respect and mana when he is very neutral about the reality of New Zealand, the way it's come about as simply a process of evolution, trying things, not working. Oh shit, this is out of control. We're gonna try this. Oh shit, what's going on over here? We're gonna try this. He's not really like kissing the behinds of the Maori people and going, you guys deserve your land, or you need this and you should be treated specially. And he was very passionate about the loss of the Maori language.
Yeah.
And the weight that he was putting on, indigenous languages. And we also talked about how, migration is like a natural thing that happens. And
it's a human element.
A human element, and, English language, the reasons why it works and why it's kind of taken off.
Yep.
We got into that. That was super fun to talk to. But we were super concerned about the fact that we're losing the Maori language. And then he also talked about how the Western culture is taking Maori language and mixing it with it.
Yeah.
And then we got into this whole detail about how India does it. Indians will talk in Hindi, but they'll use English words. China is now building a similar language culture where they are spending millions of dollars in bringing in English words within the Chinese construct of a conversation or a sentence to try and mix and bring in the English influence, so there is more understanding of the Western world and stuff like that, and integration of that world.
Well, you can talk about haka is a good example of the Chinese becoming all mixed up, and then different places where haka is used is you can have someone speaking haka in Indonesia, someone speaking haka in Malaysia, and they've got no idea, but it's all based off the Chinese language.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, he did talk to me offline about his experience with the National Library. Did you hear about this?
Yeah. Jeez.
But you're right in terms of like his mana.
Yep.
I think they've the Ministry of universities or libraries have fallen into hot water.
Oh, well, they're very much compromised. They're very much to the left. They obey an ideology.
Yeah, because I said to him, why would I go listen to you speak if I know that gig is rigged? I know that you've been told that you can't say certain things. Yeah. That's rigged. Why would I go, why would I watch a sport game if it's fixed? No, unless I know that everybody's on testosterone enhanced, that's fine. Then I know what I'm watching. But if one person is, high on the juice and the other person is just naturally fighting, and we know it's not a fair fight, why am I watching it? Right.
Yep.
But apparently what's happened is that the media reported that there was a misunderstanding.
Yes.
Nothing happened. And then he found out about it in the news, and he's listening to the minister, and she's like he or she, I don't know, very confident that it was just a misunderstanding because, it was Brooke Van Velden.
Right. Okay.
And so he goes, Brooke, here's all my emails because it's not true. And then she's like investigating the ministry for lying to her.
Yeah.
So I was like, oops.
That was like that reminds me of when I think it was, I might be wrong, but I think it was when Massey or Victoria University, Don Brash was going to speak at a university. And then the university said, we're afraid, we're very afraid that we cannot have you speak at our university because there's been some concerns around security or something like that. But emails were then discovered to show that she did not want him to speak because she viewed him as a racist. That's it. So she absolutely lied publicly multiple times, and she got caught out for it as well.
Wow.
So again, the tertiary, I want my children are half Chinese. And so studies are a very big part of that culture as well as mine. I don't want my kids going to university at this stage. They are not going to university at this stage. And I'm hoping that changes, but...
It's okay for them to go as long as you give them... How old are they?
At the moment, 8 years old. So young enough.
13 and 8.
Yeah, there should be enough years.
Well, the 13-year-old is kind of ready to start to have access to selected podcasts and things where he can listen. She can listen to stuff. So you start to build a mind, and when they go into university, they know the problems of ideology, the woke stuff. They don't get sucked into it like, wow, this is amazing. This is the dopamine high of freedom, your body, your choice, and all that bullshit, right?
Yep.
So if you feed them at an early age about what's going on. Like my kids, I'm like, they're like, Dad, can I listen to your podcast? I'm like, well, when you're 13, I'll give you a couple of episodes,
Yeah,
right?
nice.
You kind of build them up to that point. Juliet Moses, I talked to her about her kids in university, being Jewish, and she's like, oh, I'm so blessed that they get it, Like, well, yeah, because you may have contributed to that because, listening to you, saying, that's your teachings, right? So I think you have to expose your kids to all of that stuff.
I do agree. Yeah. And in the last 6 months, my older daughter, she's asked me questions about the Palestinian protests and about Hamas and Gaza and all of that. She's asked me about the gender ideology because that started to pop up a little bit in her school.
Yeah.
So she wanted to know about that, and I think that's good. Is that we still have a relationship where she's coming out with things that are she's not sure of. So she's asking me for what's this about.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I got from my son was in the Maori language week that, Dad, did you know that we've stolen the land from the Maori people and they're special? This is a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we need to have a conversation. But there was a lot of humor. Like I said to him, well, and then he said, well, Dad, am I special? I said, well, I'm an Arab, just like Maori indigenous, so I'm special. Your mum's a Pākehā, so you're half special.
Yep.
He's like, what?
So what your son just spoke about is called Te Hurihanga Nui.
Right.
And one of my biggest problems with Te Hurihanga Nui is that the blueprint of it labels children as one of three parts, which is either Māori or Pākehā or Tawiwi. And Tawiwi is foreigner.
Right.
Now, if you have been...
Who comes up with this optics?
These were the blueprint. This was written by, academics and a couple of who I would regard as very much separatist kaumātua. And again, they are again labelling children. So now children are being labelled with this. So your child, for example, would be Tawiwi. And it wouldn't even matter if your family had come here.
Your one's half Tawiwi then, your one.
Technically, yeah. But I've told my child to, if that ever comes up, you bring it up to me and I will deal with it. I've already gone down to my schools and I've said, do not bring this here. My children are anyone else. Don't talk to them about Tawiwi, Pākehā or anything like that.
Yeah, I had a similar incident with my son. He came home one day and said, oh, my teacher said that where your dad comes from, it's not a safe place. There's wars going on. And I'm like, the UAE is more safer than New Zealand.
Yeah.
So they're assuming that he's a foreigner, he's an Arab, and he's like, she's relating straight to Gaza. And I'm like straight into the principal's office.
Yeah, good.
With a virtual stick.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck's going on over here?
Yeah.
It's like, this is a 7-year-old. He needs to be playing, with sticks and stones and having fun and like.
Fascinating that they're being politicized that way. They are being utilized as political cannons.
Maybe these teachers are bored and they think that they can become activists and go rogue.
Yeah, the teachers are activists. Many of them are. Not all of them,
which is bullshit.
But many of them are. Yeah. And they also come from universities that are already pumping out the activist thought. So that's why we're coming through the system.
It's messed up. It's very messed up. I mean, my daughter started school in September, okay? And she loves the Maori language and she's all about it. And she was in the dance. They did the Maori dance thing. And she was like, she was doing it all and she was really enjoying it. And it's almost like, she has the indigenous DNA, although it's Arab, but there's a lot of similarities. So she's kind of like, she was really enjoying it and she loves it. And they sing Maori songs at home and it's like cool.
Do you teach her also
Arabic?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, good one.
I mean, they're not that interested because language has to be an environment where there's conversation.
Yep.
I was like that when I grew up in my household. I was the first generation to speak English and go to an English-speaking school. And I loved technology, Apple, Steve Jobs, rockets, Elon Musk. I was all into that, right? So when my parents speak to me, I would reply in English. So my kids are kind of like, if I speak to them in Arabic, they'll understand instructions, simple instructions, but they would respond back in English type thing, And that's just the nature of the physical environment you're in.
Yep.
And if I take them back home for 8 weeks, they will be speaking Arabic in no time because it's there. It's on the signs, on the roads, it's on shops, it's on everything that you consume. So you really get into it. And I think language, like I haven't spoken Arabic for 15 years, but it's there. It's just in hibernation.
Yep.
So when I go back, it will just come
Yep.
instantly, right? Or a few days type thing, So I don't get too kind of fearful about it or fragile about it. I just let them enjoy their reality. Their reality's got nothing to do with me, although I'm a firm believer of evolution and DNA. We have those DNAs in us. Like I can trace
so you
back.
believe also in mutative evolution?
Yeah,
Different things, all of
yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, I know my ancestors from Turkey who were businessmen, tradesmen, who were merchants. I have that sort of similar, vibes in me. And I think that always stays. It's like, and I see that in Maori people, Polynesians, and they've been, no matter how much mingling you do with Westerners and Pākehā and whatnot, it's still very strong.
Yep.
You take a, like I had kids with my ex-wife, Pākehā. It's very strong. The kids are still like very like, they got my DNA. You can see it.
Absolutely.
So I don't think that goes away. I think that's there, and you have to respect DNA in many ways.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a very fascinating thing to explore. There's a guy called Brian Johnson who's popularized this concept called don't die. He wants to live forever. And his Netflix documentary just came out. But in a simple term, a lot of his philosophy talks about how you can come up with a system of age for every single organ in your body. And then you can work on simple things where you can de-age yourself. So you can live for 150 years, for example, right? It's a very fascinating concept. So he'll talk about things like, let's say you got COVID-19, right? And the virus is real. Doesn't matter where it come from. It's real. You got COVID-19. It will age let's say your lungs by 25 years instantly because it's a virus, right? Then you got to have some protocols to try and de-age that lung back to a lung that is a 38-year-old lung. And then you can do all sorts of different things to de-age that lung to be a 20-year-old lung, He does blood transfusions. He spends $2 million a year on himself, and he's been working on coming up with a blueprint where you can spend $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a year in maintaining health that doesn't decay. That's why you see the likes of Joe Rogan, who is 57 and he's puff. You see the likes of RFK Jr., who's 72 and he is
Always stacked.
puff.
Yeah.
That's all because they do all these de-aging things. Like I just got on a testosterone replacement therapy, which basically when you get to 30, your testosterone declines every year.
Yep.
Right? And testosterone is what drives your strength, your muscle building, and all that stuff.
Yep.
So when you turn 40, from 40 to 50, you still have naturally really good strength to kind of build and maintain. So if you get into natural, like you take natural testosterone supplements like Tonga Tully, honey goat weed, that sort of stuff, you start to have a good balance of testosterone that you don't have. Then you build your body. So by the time you're 50, you have a body of a 30-year-old. You have that muscle mass and base. And then you can look like RFK Jr. when you're 70, and you don't look like broken, shell. So that stuff's very fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating. Yeah.
It's really, really fascinating.
I mean, I do. I like the idea of,
Watch his Netflix documentary called Don't Die.
Don't die. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good one.
Very cool guy. Super cool dude.
I was also thinking about what you were saying before about Te Reo Māori, how it's dying out. I think Te Reo Māori is sort of, I think it is sort of coming back a bit. I think more and more people are speaking it.
I think Paul Moon did say that, but he wasn't buying it.
That's fair because I think more people are speaking it, but not as much as what is touted to be out there.
Yeah, I did challenge him on that. I was like, well, what is your expectation? You want all of us to speak it? You want to mandate it? It has to be something we all should do. We sit at a bar, watch a game of basketball, and talk in Maori. Well, like I was trying to understand like the practicality because it's about we live real lives and we converse in certain ways and There was a podcast I saw a clip went viral. I don't know if you've seen it, of this Maori guy on a podcast saying he has a English speaking jar in his house. So if anybody speaks English, you have to put $1 in the jar. You only have to speak Te Maori. It's like, okay.
Yeah. That's
a lot of
fine.
people were poking fun at that. But
I mean, I like that.
Yeah, I was talking to Paul Moon about, like, I get your point, but that's just the nature of the beast.
It is. Yeah.
How do you expect?
Well, it's important because we spend millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer money on it. Millions, many millions of dollars on the propagation of Te Reo Māori, which I think that it should be there as a choice, but not as a mandated and not pushed so strongly.
What do you mean by propagation?
We now, and it's under the it's under the Waitangi Tribunal who pushed it very heavily, but there's a big strong push to truly make us all bilingual, to force it effectively.
Oh,
this is
really?
where you get some of the teachers at school. Now, it hasn't happened yet, but it's been...
Wasn't there $30 million taken away from the budget, which was...
From the National... So the National Party have definitely fixed a lot of things from that, but the previous government was just flooding millions of dollars into it. But this narrative keeps on coming up, and that's why it's important for us to be able to defeat that misinformation, because the misinformation is that, again, colonialism, white people came and stopped Māori forcibly from speaking Māori. But this is inaccurate. I'm not sure if Paul covered it or not, but where the schools stopped speaking Māori was, a lot of it had to do with a petition made by 334 prominent Māori families, where they put their names to paper and said, we do not want our kids speaking Māori in the schools.
Why did they do that?
Because they could see the economic advantages of the quote-unquote new world. They wanted it to be
That's
speaking.
what my mother did.
Yeah.
My mother was like, no, I don't want you to speak Arabic. I want you to speak English.
However, at home it should still be there. So in China, Chinese kids,
it was there, but in a classroom, my mother wanted us to learn English.
which I think is fine. I think it's a bit tough for the kids, but I think it's fine as long as somewhere, whether as soon as they leave the school gates, go for it. What happened with Māori is that they stopped speaking it in the kāinga, in the home. That's the big one. Of
course you do.
They stopped speaking it everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's where the narrative breaks down, because Tongans, Samoans, Chinese, they will still speak their own languages when they leave school, because there's nothing wrong with speaking it at home. That was a stage then as well. It wasn't some nefarious, malicious...
It happens because I think as kids, your reality is your friends and the language you talk with your friends. And so at home life is kind of like secondary in many ways. At least I can talk about my experience. Home is home, right? It's like, meh, I don't want to hang out with my mates.
Yep.
I want to do all this fun stuff. So the language that you talk with your friends is the language that's sort of like important to you.
Yep.
And then as you grow older, you kind of like, well, I want to go do that job, or I want to go do this. And then whatever the language is in that world, you kind of pursue.
Yeah.
If you, at a very early age, let's say you're 13, and you're like, okay, I want to go become someone that works in the charity space, and I want to like get into United Nations. I want to go help in Africa. My first advice would be to learn French, because if you don't speak French, there's no doors open for you, because that whole world is French, right? And so you kind of have to know what you're getting into, what kind of language tools you need, and then you can,
Even the style of language.
Yeah.
Jargon, terminology.
Yeah.
I mean, even culture is not just ethnic, race. Gangster, video gamer, leftist, whatever. So I think language takes on all those different forms. But it's just important that history is vital in order to get things right, so that we don't repeat the atrocities and the pain of what we already went through. And I think language is the land, the treaty, all of this goes to why we have such a fragmented society now. We didn't always have such a racially divided nation. I'm for races. I'm for bloodlines in me. I'm a good example of everyone chilled out.
Fusion.
Yeah. But I don't remember New Zealand being as racially divided as the last decade, I'd say.
Who do you think is peddling all the division?
I think the academics, but I think it's helped along by the racist politicians. Te Pāti Māori is an easy one. They're easy because they're very much out there, proudly anti, what I would regard as anti-white, all of that. But there's other areas there too, which, and again, I'll go back to, Paul's stomping ground, which is the tertiary education. I think those sectors have brought racism into New Zealand in a way that we've never seen before. I think they've brought in ideologies that are now mutilating children and bringing even heavier levels of killing babies for inconvenience. I think all of these things is coming from the university, because the universities are the ones who are quote-unquote training, or at least moulding the thought processes of those who end up being our doctors, leaders, politicians.
You're right. I think you've explained really well the weaknesses of National Party around civil rights. I think they don't have the courage to stand up. I think Luxon doesn't want to see a dual reality in New Zealand. That's why he's removed the Maori Health Authority and all that stuff. But he just doesn't have the courage to go to a point to kind of criticize the Treaty of Waitangi, which kind of plays with the whole civil rights things in many ways.
The 1975 version, anyway.
Okay. So has he criticized the original version?
I don't think so. I don't think he really talks about it too much. I think the closest he's gone is, I believe he said that Māori did indeed cede sovereignty at that time.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that was Paul's view.
Yes.
He
I agree.
didn't use that words. He sort of said it was just natural evolution.
Yep.
Like the English people did not go there to take someone else's sovereignty. It just naturally happened. And then they had this mass migration. They just, couldn't deal with it. So they had to come up with the parliament and the constitution. And
that's what I
kind of
understand.
evolved.
Yeah.
And there were some mistakes made around who could vote. And the voting was people who had land. And then eventually, close to the 20th century, everybody could vote. Women could vote. And then there was issues around Maori people having the ability to access voting booths and having representation, or it just kind of happened. So that was a very interesting, and he talked about the optics that we live in today about this Article 1, about conceding sovereignty, and the Maori version says it doesn't, and it was never the intention to come here to take over. And the British Empire at that time was only interested in trade, commercial value in many ways. And they were not behind the mass migration that happened here. Yep. So it was that sounded like, really cool to hear as a fresh perspective for myself.
Yep.
Instead of just constantly, being on X and seeing people kind of go back and forth with this same narrative of,
No, you're right.
setting sovereignty.
And I think it would be great.
Stolen land.
Your podcast is going to be awesome to listen to anyway.
With Paul Moon?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was fun. That was fun.
But
once in a while.
You got the big one. Elizabeth Rata also.
Yeah, who's she?
Stunning. She's right in there alongside in terms of.
Do you know her?
Not personally. Been honoured to meet her a couple of times.
Yeah, I can reach out.
Yeah, she's definitely a great one to speak on.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of amazing people that can come on the show, because this format is different. Sometimes it's just chat. Sometimes it's like people with a lot of experience that can, have a long conversation, and they feel like they can talk anything they want and they can explain themselves, which is what I think Luxon should be doing. And I've invited him a few times, but, he should prioritize these things. You can't go on a Sunday Q&A 30-minute show and try to explain so much in 30 minutes. The format is just off,
Yep.
And then you get yourself into all this trouble. But over here, when you come, you can talk. One question you can take 20 minutes, and so you can have like a 3-hour conversation, and then people can listen to that. And that's what worked for Trump going on Joe Rogan. That format worked for him.
Oh yeah.
That really worked for him.
Yep.
Really, because understand the man behind the man, you know, and simple questions like, you know, how did it really feel for you to get into the office the first day? Like, forget about the jobs you got to do. How did it feel? And talked about, you know, you got to hire 10,000 people, appoint these 10,000 people. You make mistakes. I made mistakes, you know.
Yeah, there's no sound bites. Or the sound bites are all over within
Yeah.
5-10 minutes.
Exactly. And that really, really helps. And, you know, a lot of the satire joke that we've made about, you know, Kamala not being able to last more than an hour because it's all the teleprompter. She won't be able to just have a natural conversation. Because you really want to understand who you are as a person and how do you talk naturally.
Yep.
Because then we can really know the real man and we can kind of make assumptions as to how you behave in the situation room. How do you behave when you're in the White House and having conversations? How are you going to behave over here? How are you going to behave over there? So you really get to know the man. So I think there are a few National Party ministers that have said yes to coming on the show.
Nice.
I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to ruin it. But I think the likes of David Seymour, these kind of formats are really good for them.
Yep.
And I don't think they understand the value of these formats, and I don't think they are using it, you know.
New Zealand, you know, we are still a bit behind.
Yeah. But it's there.
Yeah.
Make most of it, you know. Like I invited Debbie Narrow-Packer and she was like, no, I'm not going to come because you like what David Seymour says. I'm like, well, it's a free world. I can talk about, you know, anybody, you know.
Yep.
But that's where they made the mistake where, you know, when Kamala lost, all the Democrats were saying, how do we get one of those Joe Rogans? We don't like him, but he's got some kind of value. So how can we replicate his show, but for us? It's like, well, that's a very narcissistic way of looking at it.
Yep.
You want the Joe Rogan show, you go on the Joe Rogan show. He's inviting all of you to come on the show. He used to be a Democrat. He used to be a liberal. He used to be far left. He was raised by hippies.
Yeah,
right?
but he's not anymore.
Yeah. So that's where I think these guys cause all these problems around canceling themselves from certain environments and not utilizing the media that we have.
Well, today I was watching a wonderful show, hour and a half. Not a big fan of it usually. Jubilee. That's that group who like the middle ground element. And today's one was progressives. So they're both two sets of Democrats, progressive Democrats, moderate Democrats.
Yeah.
So they were very happy to also be identified as far left. So they referred to the far left as progressives. And I found it a very fascinating show to watch because it showed also within themselves how they really do turn on each other.
Yeah.
If they're not as rabid as each other,
Yeah.
they will turn and it becomes ad hominem. It becomes the old, you don't believe what I believe on this far left area, of which are happy to regard themselves far left. Right, you're a bad person, I'm going to gun you.
Wow. Have you seen the show where Ben Shapiro debates surrounded by Democrats and he debates all of them and they get like 30 seconds or 30 or 5 minutes each, but they're voted out by their fellow Democrats because they think that, you know, okay, you're not in our side, we don't like what you're saying, so you're out, we need somebody else on the seat.
That is actually that's a very good show to do.
Yeah, because it opens up the psychology of the people who are, you know, who we think are like one group, but they're actually not.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
they're not.
Right. The last one I saw was,
each other.
so the ones I've seen so far, Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, and Lila Rose. So those are the three I've seen, and powerful, very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie goes to universities, and I find that show so depressing.
Which one? His one?
The Charlie one.
Yep.
Because, not that it's not a good show, but these university kids, you just go, man, what the...
Yep.
You know, but again, university is, you know, to have fun and grow up and become an adult and, you know, just have fun.
It should be.
It should be.
You should be eating 2-minute noodles.
Yeah.
And, just, you know, learning about the various veins that you've got to pop. But
yeah, just have fun.
But right now, again, they've been pumped out as activists. It's in New Zealand as well.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to university for the last couple of years. Last time was 2020. So... but when I was doing debates at university, always great fun, always got sworn at, always got yelled at. But, you know, it was always good afterwards because you'd get challenged and you'd be able to have a discussion about the facts and the figures and the consequential outcomes. It was always good.
Yeah, and that's why I started my podcast. I used to speak on stage, but then I used to enjoy the conversations with people after getting off the stage, because there are people that are interested in specific things that I've said, and they'll talk about that for 2 hours with me, or that for 2 hours. I'm like, well, these should be recorded because they're fun conversations and they're valuable and they're entertaining. And and it's and I think Gad Saad had the Parasitic Mind. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No.
He's a professor, and he's obviously doing a big job at fighting these universities around what they teach the kids. And he's Jewish as well, Lebanese Jewish, and had to get away because of the Civil War and settled in Canada. He's an author. He wrote a book called The Parasitic Mind. It's about how viruses get implanted in your mind, how infectious ideas like climate change, DEI, are so appealing that they get planted in your mind as a parasite. And how do you become aware of it? How do you fight it? How do you get rid of it? He's doing some incredible work in that space. And now he's writing a new book called Suicidal Empathy, which is all about the empathy that the Western world shows to everyone else, which is suicidal to the Western world and the entire world.
I guess that's similar to, what is it? Douglas Murray's.
Douglas Murray's a very in that space of just one of those smart people that has a very good ability to kind of explain themselves and break things down. He was on Piers Morgan recently debating about Tommy Robinson.
Right.
And that was a really fun way to kind of, he kind of alluded to this idea that the British people feel offended the way Tommy Robinson phrases words and phrases his ideas. It's not that his ideas are bad, it's that British people are offended that someone like him would represent the British people on world stage and everybody loves him. You kind of have the similar debate with, not that I like him, what's his name? I forgot his name now. The British guy who's got done for human trafficking in Romania.
Oh,
Andrew Tate.
Right.
So there's a...
Yeah, he's a bit more problematic, I think. Tommy Robinson is easier to identify.
But people love him,
Yeah.
He was on Benny Johnson the other day. I don't know if you follow Benny Johnson.
I don't follow him, but I know him.
Yeah, and obviously Seth Dillon, who owns the Babylon Bee, was giving him a lot of stick about getting Andrew Tate on the show. It's like, dude, you have daughters. What are you doing? And then, to my surprise, Alina Habba, which is Trump's lawyer, shows up and going, Andrew Tate, I love you. You're one of my heroes. And I'm like...
Interesting.
This is interesting how people have different views about him, and now he started his own political party called Bruv Party.
Right.
And he wants to be the Prime Minister of the UK. I guess everyone's kind of jumping on this optics of trying to manage and control their image and who they are and what they stand for. And
I think he's just an expected. I think he should have always been an expected reaction to the attempted cultural emasculation of males, of masculinity.
Yeah. Isn't there a lot of schools that banned Andrew Tate philosophy and content and videos? And
not that I know of, but I know that they hate it. I know they hate Andrew Tate. They when they're writing in their own reports, the teachers do not like him.
Wow.
But again, the teachers, you generally are to the left, strongly to the left.
Yeah.
And he does say some things which are not good, but I think it's just one of those things with humans, and even the accuracy of the charges.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Yeah, he's very smart, and he is really good at. He doesn't appeal to me because I'm older, and I think he sticks very carefully with stuff that teenagers and young adults like.
Yeah, I think we are. Yep.
Yeah. So it's a fascinating, and when you see kids talk about him, you're like, what is going on in the mind of the child that Andrew Tate understands that he's exploiting or he's trying to reach. It's the attention economy, right?
Yeah.
You think about Joe Rogan, 15-year-olds to 40-year-olds listen to Joe Rogan. And you're like, well, what is he actually doing? Is it the way he speaks? Is it his voice? Is it his confidence? Why does he appeal to young people? Is it the guest he brings in? So Russell Crowe went on the show because his son is a big fan of Joe Rogan. And he's a 15, 16, 17-year-old.
That's right.
And so he went to do it because he was like, oh, I wanna impress my son. I wanna go on Joe Rogan because my son's a fan of Joe Rogan. A lot of people go to Joe Rogan's show for that reason because their kids love Joe Rogan. They're like, Dad, you gotta do Joe Rogan. And that episode, did you hear it?
I heard the bit when he was talking about his son.
Yeah. I thought that episode with Joe Rogan was very, very special.
Nice.
Russell Crowe is just a fascinating human being. But my favorite ones on Joe Rogan would be Bob Lazar.
Fair. Yeah.
Very nice episode. And the second one with which was I think 1255 with Alex Jones.
I saw clips, but nothing. I didn't.
That's
watch
when
read
he
the whole
came back from being
thing. Was it
cancelled
after
to explain himself from the Sandy Hook shootings.
Oosh. Yeah, that would be very interesting.
That was a good one. Such a fun one.
My favorite one is Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
But then I didn't say anything that was deeply different.
Yeah.
I just like to hear those styles again.
Yeah. When you listen to Jordan Peterson speak with Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, you it's so obvious the intellectual difference.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson talks in a way you're like, I need to use AI to understand what's going on here. Just like simplify it for me. It's so smart. I love Jordan Peterson interviewing Pierre, which is the opposition leader of the Canadian party that's gonna run.
Yes, right. Yes. Yep.
I can't pronounce his last name.
Yep.
But that was really fascinating.
That was a great interview.
Yeah, and it's again that podcast style.
And
he really opens up to who you are, how you think, what do you get on with your day, how do you work with your team, how you organize this, what is your worldviews,
Well, I like how he allowed his love for his country, I think, to come out.
Right.
Like Jordan was more, he gauges in quite a bit of authentic empathy, but in that I think there was a little bit of excitement there with Jordan Peterson. I haven't seen that much.
Yeah, he interviewed Elon Musk and he was very excited for that. But yeah, it's such a gift, all this content. His academy, which I joined, called the Peterson Academy. There's some really good courses and you learn all these different things. And you're right, all of that stuff, if you're going to university to be educated, then do it yourself. You learn all these really cool things and you can be on podcasts and you can listen to all the stuff. So much good content. But if you want to go to university for something specific, like you want to be a doctor or a nurse or you want to be an engineer, still there's a place for universities to go to. You learn a lot of good skills.
Yeah, they just need to get rid of the other stuff.
Yeah, you need to find better ways to not allow the infiltration of viruses into like, why do we have the World Economic Forum meddling with policy with New Zealand, for example, or these other countries, and how they infiltrate, and why is Jacinda Ardern hanging out with Schwab, and like all that stuff, just a really bad look.
Yep.
And you see the likes of Bill Gates, and he's meddling into health, and he spent 3 hours talking to Trump at Mar-a-Lago a week ago about the cure that he's working on, AIDS and vaccine, and
Africa, I think, in terms of with Bill Gates, that needs to be looked at very carefully.
Why?
I think alongside the pharmaceutical inventions that they're coming up with, they have, we know that this has been going on for years, but now there's official complaints coming out of Ethiopia about the seeds element that Bill Gates is a part of, where they now have to purchase seeds from one vendor, and those seeds, when they plant them for tomatoes, for example,
Right.
they're not giving seeds that can be replanted. So the idea is that you can only have the food that's allotted to you for the amount of money that you pay. You can't grow your own tomatoes and have that as a sustaining crop. So, and that's one of those Bill Gates, not core, but he's a big part of that.
Right.
So there's, I think that what's going on in Africa, because Africa's always traditionally been a bit of a dark place in terms of knowing what's happening inside there. And I think at the other stage, it's also quite an experimental place.
Yeah. And I guess he's probably hanging out with Trump because he visited the Epstein Island for a few times.
We're very much looking forward to seeing if Trump will let loose on that one. He said that he would. So
Yeah. The Epstein list, the P. Diddy list.
Yep.
The JFK files, shooting files. It's a bizarre time as well. Like the celebration and the defense of someone like Luigi Mangione, who shot the health insurance CEO on the streets of New York. How much he's loved and celebrated.
It's insane. Yeah.
You realize the scale of the mind virus. But it also exposes the hatred that exists for the insurance companies and people that's been done wrong, and lots of stories. It's a dirty business.
Yep.
It's a very dirty business.
Yeah. There's a lot of darkness in the human condition, I think. And I think what we've seen over the last 5 years, which is a very short time, is a culmination of what we've seen over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
But it's not good. It's not healthy.
And apparently, because of the wildfires in LA, they're going to price themselves out of business, because apparently there's a huge influx of house insurance price going to go over the roof.
Yeah, of course.
And I had a guest on my show a couple of days ago, and he was telling me that soon we won't be able to afford insurance. I think it's already the case. It's gone up so much.
Yeah. Because I know a few people who work in the reinsurance industry. Yeah, they are not optimistic for the future.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's them just their normal personality, but they are very much concerned about the future. And these are from the reinsurances as well. So, and that's New Zealand.
Yeah.
That's not even regarding what's going on over there.
Is there anything positive happening in New Zealand? Or is it all just doom?
I think the positives are the conservative activism. I think we're seeing, so the group that I'm a part of, Hobson's Pledge, we saw a massive.
Oh yeah,
we
I've
got
seen
some
them
massive
every
wins.
day. I see them every day on my social media.
Yeah, so we've had some massive wins over the last.
What is it?
couple of
A
years.
charity or no? A think
No,
tank?
not a charity. It's we're a civil rights advocacy group. So
Okay.
we believe in all people should be treated the same, regardless of skin color.
Who's funding it?
It's all bunch of people. There's most of our, if I remember correctly, I believe most of them are under $100. So it's good old Kiwis. Kiwis just spend a bit of
Donations.
money, donations. Yeah, that's it. And
it's
people-
working. It's helpful and
Sharks, yeah. We've got the ear of politicians, and some of them not because they want to, but because strength. We've got 140,000 people who are active
Wow.
subscribers.
Wow.
We've got we go into different places.
How are you involved in it? What's your role?
So I'm one of the 2 spokespeople, and hopefully I'll be one of the 3 spokespeople soon. So this year I might be getting a little bit more public in that environment, but
Okay, cool.
also on the board. So being able to talk about directions of how we're doing things. But it's great. We've had some good strong wins.
So what's your main role? What sort of stuff do you do? Are you involved in policy? Is it
Yeah, in the
lobbyism?
direction-
Is it
in terms of what we will do, our as Hobson's Pledge as a group, what we will do, whether we'll get into legal opinions, whether we put out press releases, whether we go to do discussions and speaking events, all of that. I mean, tomorrow, for example, is a good example. Tomorrow I'll be having an online discussion with a person who is a very strong Māori activist, as in a separatist activist. So then we're going to have 2 people with Māori blood, me over here and this person over here, and we're going to absolutely disagree and have a bit of a fierce head-to-head, no doubt.
Okay.
That's some of the stuff that we do. And it's about, I think a lot of it's about education, about all the little things that are going on, as well as the big things. So
Is this Joe Trinder?
Joe Trinder, yes.
Yeah.
Joe Trinder.
I think he's blocked me on X.
I was
I'm not sure.
because I haven't actually looked at much of his stuff, but I'm getting so many warnings. As soon as we put it up, I'm getting so many warnings about, that guy's unhinged. Oh, he's crazy. So I'll be able to see for myself tomorrow.
I see a lot of his stuff from conservatives that kind of rage about the stuff that he says.
Right. But we'll have I think we're going to have a good chat tomorrow, good kōrero, and we'll be able to speak about those deep issues.
Yeah. It sounds like you have a better style in communicating, so you might win.
Wow, about coming together for the betterment of our people.
Yeah, fair enough. But, it's okay for, Paul talked about it. It's okay for Maori people and others to understand that Maori people had issues too among their tribes. They used to fight. They used to have a haka, and the haka was a way for them to be like, we've got power and we can take you on. And so it's okay to understand and accept and say that, Maori people, they have differences and different views, and everybody doesn't always have to get along.
Yes, unlike the narrative that's out there that all Maoris apparently think the same. And
yeah. I mean, you have the iwi narrative, you have the far radical left Maori narrative, you have lots of Maori people in National Party and other parties. David Seymour
he's got Ngāpuhi blood
blood in him.
Then you've got Shane Jones, you've got Karen Chur, you've got Winsor Peters, of course. You've got Casey Costello.
Yep.
These are all people with strong Maori blood.
Yeah, and she needs a haircut.
Yeah. Her hair's been like that for years.
I know, right? It's like, what is this? It's like a mop.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to change her. I think she likes her haircut.
I mean, she kind of, it's your personality.
I wonder if she could go to the Viking braids thing going.
I know.
Because she's awesome. I have to say, I got a lot of time for her, and I know about the whole tobacco thing and all that sort of stuff. But
I made so much fun of her hair.
I'm sure you did
through my satire news. That was so good when she got in. That's how I got into satire. My first joke was, it's a new week, we have a new government, and we're officially allowed to smoke in the office.
Oh, right.
That was kind of like my first story. Okay. And there was a picture of Don Draper smoking a cigarette in his
office,
office, It's like, here we go, bring back smoking. Because I grew up, cigars was a big part of my sort of hangout with my friends as like a adult out of university and workforce. It was like something that we all enjoyed.
Nice.
Sitting in the backyard, having a glass of rum, cigar, good conversations, long and deep, and about all sorts of stuff, right? So I always loved that. And I grew up with smoking indoor was a very normal thing. So the studio that I'm building, I want to make sure we smoke inside.
Oh, nice.
We can smoke cigars and have really good conversations and drink some rum, bring that sort of vibe back.
Or whiskey.
Whiskey, yeah. I can't do whiskey.
I can't do rum.
Really?
My young years, how you rum so
like
hard.
Rum anymore?
Wow, no, because now it's just takes me straight back to...
Oh, okay. So you've kind of created that memory.
I've created that lovely memory of...
Yeah. But at the moment, right now, it's tequila for me, man.
Oh, really? Which one?
I'm not picky, but
Fair enough.
Just has to be good, good stuff. The George Clooney's one's good.
Oh, okay.
What's it called? I forgot the name. And then, there's lots of good tequilas. I'm not picky. Mezcal's really nice.
Yes.
Tried mezcal?
Yes, I have.
A very smoky tequila, which is really, really good. Dos Hombres is a good brand. Which is
we were all on that one.
Yeah.
Get the worm.
Well, that was started by the guys who were in Breaking Bad.
True.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul.
Right. Far out.
So they were kind of like, let's do something together, and
cool.
Too early to do a project together because of Breaking Bad. You gotta let
it lower.
Durability kind of do its thing. So they decided to do a mezcal.
Nice.
Yeah, and they give all the money back to the guys who it's not a money making thing for them, but it's fun. Like, yeah, you can make some really good cocktails with mezcal, which is really good.
I like. I'm enjoying liqueurs. I like honey meads. I like my liqueurs as well.
Okay.
But I like my whiskies, Glenlivet, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I've kind of come off beer.
Oh yeah, I was never a beer guy either.
Yeah.
Cider's alright. Every now and then.
I don't drink much, to be honest.
Yeah, neither do I. I'm pretty much a top shelf guy these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even then, maybe once a month, once every 6 weeks, and then it was with the boys, and we'll go pretty handy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Good. This has been fun, man.
Yes,
It's been really good.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, there's lots, but no, I think we're pretty good for now.
Yeah, I think we've covered a really good session. It's
Mm.
always good to stop when there's more to talk about.
True. Yeah, very true.
Tell us your social accounts where people can find you.
So I'm mostly active on Facebook. That's under Elliot Ikilei, and that's a page there, as well as on X. It is Elliot Page because it's my page.